Joining me now is Sky News host Andrew Bolt. Andrew, thanks for joining me tonight. It's great to see you. And you're back hosting the program on Monday night, which I think a lot of people are looking forward to, and I'm sure you're anxious to get back as well.
Absolutely, mate. I've got to say, your editorial, I mean, I know that the first of those two magistrates you mentioned was in charge, it was a part of a committee of overseeing the magistracy in Victoria that's in charge of therapeutic jurisprudence, sort of, you know, focused on the offender rather than on the victims.
Yep, and that seems to be the way things are going. Anyway, everyone's looking forward to having you back on Monday. It's great to see you, and next week will be fantastic. I want to talk to you about Prime Minister Anthony Albanese arriving back in Australia today after what many have hailed as a diplomatic triumph at his meeting with Trump. But Andrew, you argued in the Herald Sun that while it might have been a success for Albanese personally, the outcome for Australia is not quite as rosy as many would have us believe.
Well, it was a lot of give to the US and not quite as much get. I mean, I had a look at the US Embassy in Canberra, and it's put on its website a press release about this thing. And the way it reads, I mean, just the headline alone tells you everything. It says, fact sheet, President Donald J. Trump closes billion-dollar deals with Australia. They think they're making a mozza out of us. And when you look at it, I mean, the give that we've got, we're going to spend $6 billion on weaponry over there, which the US Embassy boasts is going to help people in Texas, Florida, Arkansas and Alabama. We're going to give them another $1 billion to help them make submarines in America, of which we hope 3 might come to Australia, but there was no guarantee of that. The superannuation funds in Australia, this is still the embassy boasting in this deal. They're going to devote $1 trillion to the US. They're going to invest in the US, in US jobs over the next decade or so. And it's boasted that they've got more access to Australian markets to sell US beef. And you've got to ask, what did we get in exchange for all this? Well, not much. US and Australia together are going to invest $3 billion in critical minerals. Some of that investment might stay in America, though. And the US Department of War is going to invest in a gallium factory in Western Australia. That's it. There was no change in tariffs. You know, Trump has imposed these extra tariffs on us, particularly aluminium and steel. No cut in that. Just a guarantee that, yes, not even a guarantee. Trump said, oh, you know, we'll get you your 3 nuclear submarines. We'll give them to you. This is part of a deal that's going to cost us $368 billion. So I don't know, mate. It seems to me an awful lot of give just to have Trump say to Albanese, you're a great Prime Minister.
Well, I think that was the point, wasn't it? That's what the Prime Minister wanted from this trip. He wanted a commendation from Trump. And I tell you what, it's causing all sorts of problems for the coalition. I never imagined Trump's slapdown of Kevin Rudd was going to end up as a problem for Sussan Ley, but it seems to be. She said on Tuesday Rudd should be sacked after that embarrassing interaction. But now her own backbenchers have turned on her. And can you believe it? They're supporting Kevin Rudd. You had Jane Hume yesterday calling Lee's call for Rudd to be replaced as churlish. And today Andrew Hastie has insisted there's no need for Rudd to go anywhere. Here's Andrew Hastie.
We all make unwise comments, but he copped it on the chin for the country. And we don't need to relive the humiliation. Trolling the Australian ambassador was good TV. But in the end, Kevin Rudd copped it on the chin for the country, and we move forward.
So, Andrew, what do you make of all of that? I just can't believe this has become a problem for the coalition.
Well, exactly. Very interesting how they've turned what should have been a free kick into an own goal. But it strikes me that Sussan Ley and a number of others should remember that the Prime Minister they want to get rid of is not Kevin Rudd, who lost his job many years ago, but the current guy. So calling for him to be sacked, it's not going to happen. And the whole thing, you know, Sussan Ley rushed out and said that was the big takeout for her, got to get rid of Kevin Rudd as ambassador. But then came a leak from sort of salting the mind from the Prime Minister's office, saying Kevin Rudd then apologised personally to the President Trump, and President Trump then said all is forgiven. I'm not sure if that's true, but that is what was widely reported, which makes calling for his, resignation after, he's at least got this, what's apparently at least a political triumph for Albanese. I think that is, as Jane Hume said, a bit churlish, more actually beside the point. And the thing is, here is Andrew Hastie, here is Jane Hume, both of them on the backbench. I think they were just drawing attention to her mistakes. I think it was enemy action from them as well. So all in all, a sign of total, disloyalty, dysfunction in the Liberal Party.
Yeah, it certainly was. I want to talk to you about the conflict in the Middle East. Israel has halted its military action in Gaza, but Palestinians continue to suffer at the hands of Hamas. Days after footage of Hamas executing 7 men for supposedly collaborating with Israel, there's been more footage emerging of Palestinians being beaten, shot, killed by the terrorist regime, which begs the question, where's the outrage? And a warning, the video we're about to play is distressing. Have a look.
Hamas is executing Palestinians in Gaza, public executions in broad daylight. Where are you? All the loud voices, the human rights warriors, the moral preachers, the queers for Palestine? Are these your freedom fighters, the ones you march for? You vanished. Hamas must go.
Andrew, that video put out by the Israeli government, it makes a pretty good point, don't you think?
Well, you covered before, a few days ago, 7 Palestinians shot in the head in the street by Hamas. Now there's more video of men getting shot, and there was also saw other evidence of a man getting his legs broken by Hamas. And this was always the thing, when Albanese said, I'm going to recognise a Palestinian state. And we said, well, half of it's actually run by Hamas, you know that. And now that Israel's been pulling out under this so-called, peace deal, Hamas has been reasserting itself by killing Palestinians. By the way, I did wonder how Albanese was going to enforce the guarantee that he was given, he said, by the Palestinian Authority that Hamas would be disarmed. Good news, James, as you may have heard, the Australian government is going to send one person to Israel, not even to Gaza, to oversee this peace deal. One person. I mean, can you believe it? Oh, my gosh. The whole thing is just a sick joke. And as you say, where are the protests? Where are the protests? There were 32 organisations behind a protest the other day, where police in Victoria got hit and injured and had rocks thrown at them. 32, lots of Palestinian groups, Aboriginal groups, Marxist groups, socialist groups. Not one of those 32 could organise a protest on Sunday saying, yeah, we really were concerned about Palestinian lives, and so we're going to complain about Hamas. Not one.
Well, Andrew, they would have complained about Hamas and stood up for Palestinian lives if they weren't so busy protesting Israel. I think that was the conflict. They were double booked. Hey, just before we go to a break, I've got to ask you about King Charles. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, King Charles. No, I was just thinking, can you imagine if Israel had been filmed shooting dead Palestinians in the head in the street, what the outrage would have been? They'd be before the International Criminal Court and all that. But Hamas does it. Oh no, poor Hamas. Let's look the other way.